This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, Joey asks me about malicious compliance, and I ask Joey about Chapstick.
Woo! Friday. It's Friday. It's a Joey. This is what he sounds like. He sounds like a Rebecca Black, obviously. And this is what an executive producer and teen beat Jess Vander sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess. What's that?
It was an old magazine for teens.
Oh. Cool.
Who's your Rebecca Black?
If I were Rebecca Black, or...
No, like...
Who
was your, like, middle school, like, tweener obsession? Or if you even had one, I guess.
Middle school tweener obsession.
Zach and Cody?
I mean, we loved a Disney Channel moment in that period of life for sure. But that's different. Musical artist, tweenie bopper, starlet is different. I think that was more like Selena Gomez, who also like very clearly glowed up after Wizards of Waverly Place, and then since has become a Gen Z icon as herself from Wizards of Waverly Place, her television show on Disney Channel. Wow.
She also apparently has a cooking show on HBO that I heard someone raving about.
When?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Wow.
Yeah.
What a multi-talented legend.
And she's, I think, is like doing a lot of like health related, like destigmatization. I believe she has lupus and bipolar disorder.
What can she do?
I could be wrong, but she's like, you know, like, hey, some of us out here have lupus. Like, be cool. And then, you know,
be cool.
Respect. Also, then she just like sings the, you know, heck out of some sad songs.
Un año sin lluvia, for example, the legendary hit. Wow. Okay, we can stop talking about Selena Gomez now, but we do love her.
She had a kidney transplant, and she has bipolar disorder. Yes. Kidney transplant as a result of a treatment needed for her lupus. There we go. I just wanted to make sure I was not misrepresenting her health conditions. There we go. Jess, do we have any housekeeping other than just like we should quickly break into a song about Lose You to Love Me? Can you sing Lose You to Love Me?
I'm not going to do that. But
you've been waiting for the opportunity. You said just tee you up with a song and then you're just going to come in hot.
I don't get it.
You know?
It depends on the song. I have to be ready. It's not like karaoke. Karaoke stresses me out.
Fine. No housekeeping. As always, the house is clean. If anyone needs closed captioning, the show is also on YouTube, where closed captioning is provided thanks to algorithms. Thanks, algorithms. Okay. Jess.
Okay. Joey.
Let's talk about your favorite thing. Rules.
Is it rules? Ho, ho, ho. So predictable.
So I encountered something earlier this week, last week, a few weeks ago. Who can really say the time where I encountered it? I may actually be able to say the time I encountered it. April 1st.
Okay.
Oh no. What if it's an April Fool's joke? Oh no.
No.
I've seen it a few places, so I think it's potentially real. And even if it's not real, I still find it interesting for the idea. So I'm going to share someone's... I don't know. This person showed up on my feed at ARANOCK1. Aranok? I don't know.
Okay.
they shared something. There was a post coming out in response to the Florida Don't Say Gay bill. And it was like a templated letter that apparently a teacher had sent to her class's parents. But, people were encouraging others to do it. And it introduced this idea of malicious compliance, which I had never encountered the idea and I found really interesting. So I'll read you like a quick snippet of the letter. It says, "Dear Florida parent/caretaker, the Florida House of Representatives has recently ruled that the classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. To be in accordance with this policy, I will no longer be referring to your students by gendered pronouns. All students will be referred to as they or them. I will no longer use a gendered title such as Mr. or Mrs. or make any references to my husband or wife in the classroom. From now on, I will be using the non-gendered title MX. Mix? I don't know how to pronounce that. Furthermore, I will be removing all books with or instructions which refer to a person being a mother, father, husband, or wife, as those are gendered identities that also may allude to sexual orientation. Needless to say, all books which refer to a character as he or she will also be removed from the classroom. If you have any concerns about this policy, please feel free to contact your local congressperson." I was immediately fascinated by this idea of malicious compliance, about basically a demonstration of following the rules to the extreme to negate the intention of the rule, as like this fascinating form or approach to activism. And like it's been in my head, as you or anyone who has ever listened to the show, I get stuck on ideas, and it's been in my head sense of like, where else can we apply malicious compliance? Like, how far can this idea go? Is this a new, meaningfully compelling idea? And so my question for you is, how far can we take malicious compliance?
This is interesting. The first thing I thought of was trying to pull apart this from something like breaking the spirit of the rules, where you're breaking, theoretically good rules knowingly, like willfully breaking a rule that makes a lot of sense and is a good rule. But I think inherent in what you're trying to communicate is that this is someone willfully following but interpreting bad rules a certain way that sort of communicates the displeasure and acts in defiance by way of compliance, right? Like I'm imagining it kind of like a matrix of like, it's not that you're breaking a good rule, it's that you're following a bad one in a way that shows you wish it didn't exist.
Yeah, and also like maybe is doing a good thing. Like, like I don't know how serious this letter was or if anyone will actually use it, but I'm like, just as like the intent of it might actually, if you follow it to the extreme, accomplish something entirely different that is like outside of what the legislators were trying to accomplish, right? They were trying to accomplish like, you can only talk about like love between a man and a woman and like sort of a super heteronormative thing where that's the only discussion you can have in a school, right? The idea of saying like, okay, well, rules as written say that we can't talk about gender identity, which being a man or a woman is a gender identity. So we're not going to push any gender identities onto kids when they're early and let them figure them out for themselves is like, like that isn't that like maybe a good thing? Like, just to be like, figure it out for yourself. Like, how do you feel? Like, what makes sense to you? Like, maybe there are more gender identities than, the ones that we have now, thinking primarily of like male, female, non-binary, like, and I know there are many other sort of different interpretations, but like is that, I think a lot about with my daughter not sort of like over gendering her or like leaning into those things. So I don't, we never say like boys do this or girls do that, or, like you can't do that for this reason. And so I'm like, wait, so you just follow the rule all the way, and like somehow, I don't, like, as someone who has a sort of complicated relationship with rules, I'm like, I can follow the rules and not follow the rules at the same time. It just like opened a thing for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, can I add maybe like, all right, I'll listen to that rule if I can write a couple other rules, and then it becomes my rules now. It's like, this is my version of what you said. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's also, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's that rule where, is it the Bader-Meinhof effect, where like if you encounter a thing, then you start seeing it more in other places? Is that
frequency illusion, Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, or frequency bias, where once you notice it more?
Yeah, I've been noticing it since then, and I'm like,
it's like everywhere.
Not
this is quite a new idea, hardly, as in terms of like defiant acts. It's just like, this is an interesting name for that phenomenon, and maybe takes new meaning today.
Yeah, but like if you had talked to me before I had like encountered that sort of particular articulation of the concept of defiant, I would be like, you broke the rules. Like, you did a thing you weren't supposed to do because you believe that the rules are unjust, unfair, wrong in some capacity, right?
Right. Not breaking like, bad rules instead of following bad rules, but a certain way.
Yeah, like finding there's like this creativity within it that is exciting to me. So there's been a bunch of videos circulating during the women's March Madness tournament on ESPN2. There was a different version of the coverage called the Diana and Sue show, I believe. It was Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird doing like the in-game coverage of the tournament games. Yeah. But it was on like the second station. They've been experimenting with this at ESPN. They had like the Manning cast during football games, where it's like the two brothers, they're like talking about the game, but they're also talking about other things at the same time, whatever. And one of the teams in the women's Final Four, who I believe won the tournament, the South Carolina Gamecocks, have the word cock in their name. And like, you're not allowed to talk about dicks on like SEC, or like FCC makes rules around like what you can say during a broadcast. But Diana was just perpetually making these like completely deadpan, completely like subtle jokes through the like entire tournament during like the South Carolina team's games. And she was using like language that is extremely common when you're talking about basketball, like talking about like the length of the players, or people often talk about like the DNA of a team, but would just manipulate that language and put it together in a way where she was just perpetually making jokes that were like falling within the rules, but were totally dirty jokes. And I was like, she's doing the thing. She's doing malicious compliance. Like, oh, like, where can this go? I'm totally like a kid in a candy store, just being, she's breaking the rules, but she's following the rules. You can do both.
Wow. Yeah, I think that this is then also just putting a microscope to what does following the rules mean? Because again, it's like, is that against the spirit of the intention of the rules? But also, how much do you need to be following it to a T, especially when you're trying to make some kind of subversive commentary in the process? And also, what side of a potential debate do you sit on when, like in your first example of certain policies, like, well, it seems to be following the rules to me, whereas someone might say like, nah, you're breaking our rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the term within like constitutional scholars, like constitutional, like purist or like fundamentalist or originalism? Right, like originalism.
How much you are taking word for word verbatim interpretations versus, come on, you know what they meant was blank. And it's like, well, did they say that explicitly? Versus, and if that is the case, then like many things that we do today would just simply not make sense.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting to me to think about like a lot of the people who are taking sort of like doctrinally originalist approaches to things like the Constitution are also the people who are putting these more socially conservative rules in place, either like at the FCC around sort of like purity of language or in Florida around this don't say gay bill, right? They're taking like doctrinally, like these are the words, you follow the rules as written, not like as interpreted. And so it's funny to me that then those are the rules that are being broken, right? There was a different rule, I believe it was in Kentucky, I could be wrong, but it was basically trying to create a anti-gay marriage law, I believe. It was around like common law marriages and trying to prevent it from being able to be between same-sex couples and things like that, where common law marriages is just, if you've been living together for a certain amount of time, you're sort of automatically married. But in taking the approach, they, like, if you follow like the words as written, it means that like children can be common law married and like all of these other things because they're not
living
like,
together long enough.
Precise in the language.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You have to be very precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess then comes to the point where I think some of the examples that you're sharing feel to me like examples where whoever wrote them is like, come on, follow the spirit of these rules. Like, you're breaking the rules. And they're like, am I breaking the rules? Because when you take a closer look,
technically,
I actually not break. It just feels like, I guess, I don't know. Maybe this is because I'm a rule follower, but it rubs me the wrong way because I'm like, well, is this the right way to show your disdain, or should you do something less passive aggressive and more direct if it is possible to do?
Well, I also think it's funny.
I say that like it's so easy, but like it's more just my gut reaction of like, it feels icky to be sort of snarky and sassy in this way, even if the rule is so bad. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's you said something before we came on where you're like, isn't this like kind of like what Mitch McConnell invented? And I was like, oh, they're like turning it on him. Like the idea of, you're thinking about rules and like, don't run next to the pool because you'll get hurt is like a logical rule to have for children next to the pool. Like, don't fall and hit your head. It's a slippery surface. You're next to a body of water.
Yeah,
like,
please be cautious.
Let's keep things safe. Like, independent of whether that's a good example, people may be like, we should be able to run next to the pool. Like,
okay. Yeah. It's less controversial than other rules, let's just say.
Yeah, like, don't run a red light, right? Like, we can all agree, like, if everyone starts running red lights, it's chaos. Cats marrying dogs. But like in these cases, it is examples of people sort of pushing personal philosophies on other people around sort of an attempt to create some shared sense of like propriety or whatever. And in almost all of the examples, it is being used as a form of activism against those sort of like the oppression of someone putting rules that you don't agree with on against you. And so like for me, that idea of like, where are there other opportunities to use this, right? Like, is it in like digging into like terms of service on like all of these digital platforms that we're being pushed into and creating loopholes? Like it feels like an opportunity to, in the way that we think about, like in the way that people often talk about hackers finding loopholes in like the back ends of systems and exploiting systems, right? Yes. Like we think that has sort of like a very literal, like tangible thing. Like there is a system that has been created. People are finding a loophole within it and exploiting a system. In this case, we're talking about like rules and laws, which are fundamentally like abstractions, right? Or concepts. And like, how can we start thinking about breaking rules to accomplish some positive end that we're looking for, not by actually breaking the rules, but by like following them as written in order to accomplish some, positive social, environmental, whatever it is. And it feels like, and maybe this is like an old concept and that like, this is like law school 101 or whatever. I don't know. But like, I'm like, it feels like a new tool to me that is like making me think about things differently.
Well, and largely assumes that the rule has such weaknesses that even those without substantial power can take advantage of it. Like what is frustrating is that not all rules, even there are many bad rules that are still strong enough, even if they're not good, they are at least strong enough that it is hard to subvert unless you are powerful. Versus like this rule is so bad that actually it's like pretty easy to do good things with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost the thing that you might be talking to is like, can we start with some of these like really bad and weak rules that we can take better advantage of to start? Because we won't be able to fix all of the bad rules out there.
No, yeah, for sure. Of course, not all of them have these things, but I don't know. I'm on the lookout now for new rules to break by following.
Yeah. Is there something like that you have in mind?
I don't. I like that. Like I'm so new to this idea. I'm like, I'm looking for my first opportunity to strike by not striking. I don't know. I mean, you would never do this like that. It is sort of like against your personal constitution to do it.
It's like, even if the rules are bad, no, but what I would do instead, I would just do something more direct. Like if I take umbrage with a rule, I just go after the rule. I'm like, it's bad for these reasons. I mean, this is how I got our high school prom date changed, is I went to the powers that be and I was like, these are the reasons this is bad. And then it was persuasive enough because I don't think they cared about dealing with a really loud and annoying high schooler. But I think that is definitely not always the way to show defiance to things that people dislike. And I am supportive of other people who have the fortitude to challenge bad rules with some type of compliance that also suits their belief
Malicious
systems.
Compliance.
Malicious compliance.
All right, this brings us to Jess's rulebook corner.
In some ways, what you're talking about, this idea of malicious compliance, is supposed to be a majestic loophole for rule followers who don't want to do something totally bad, but also have an agenda that they seek to pursue. And through this, they can both have the rules and break them too. It's both.
You're totally right.
And some people might not like it, but you can at least sleep at night and tell yourself you didn't do a bad thing.
This is the rule followers activism. My mind is blown. I don't know why I sound like a stoner on like a couch or something. Like I'm like,
oh my!
You just said like,
what?
Well, if you, dear listener, have any other examples, past or future, that you can foresee as ways to apply malicious compliance, please, like, I'm genuinely begging you, share them with me. Like, I just want more. criticalnonsense@sylvain.co. Just send them. Send us. If you have an example of malicious compliance, I want to hear it.
Send it.
Oh, welcome back. In our brief break, Jess shared more rules with me.
Classic.
Tuck it in.
Tuck in your shirt. If you want to, and if you don't want, it's very stylish. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I asked one of our company chats what people's recommendations for chapstick or lip balm flavors were. And to my horror, it created this, and also amazement, it was awesome. It created this ballooning conversation about what are the good lip balms, chapsticks of the universe, and also a fundamental question of even their utility in the first place. And what had begun as just me searching for some recommendations for taste types sort of spiraled out of control. The conversation went straight to, some of these just make your lips want more, stuff put on them. So then you use it more, and then it sort of creates this vicious cycle of needing more of the product. And I thought about it and I was like, well, for some lip moisturizing products, I have found that to be true. But also, I haven't thought of the products I like in this way, in sort of like a sneaky, they're trying to get me to use it more, even though I don't need it otherwise kind of a way. And I don't know, it got me thinking about the universe of things that, especially for, I don't know why this category of like personal care seems like a really prominent space for it. But I think of deodorant as another example where I've talked to some people who say, oh, I don't need any deodorant. And I think like, well, or if you let your body adjust, you'll just get to a point where you don't need it. And I think like, how is that? How do you get to that point without offending many people in the process? And same
Alex
with
is nodding against this vigorously.
Alex Contel is not having this theory. And same with the moisturizer. If I'm suffering, how long should I wait to see if my body can calibrate itself in some way? And therefore I reach for some kind of salve. And I don't know, it just takes me to this question of, what happens when a nothing like sort of dry lips, or maybe a real kind of something like body smells. What if a nothing like that turns into a need that you can't give up in your life, like deodorant and chapstick, etc.?
It's interesting for me because I'm definitely like one of those like lower maintenance people in these categories. Like not nothing. I don't use nothing, but like I only use chapstick if like my lips are cracked from like being in I hit a point where I literally have like a split lip or something. I'm like, okay, I'll chapstick it. And like I never used lotion until I was like riding my bike every day, and then like getting out of the shower, and I was like, my face hurts. Like I guess I should put lotion on my face.
Yeah. We can certainly rule out that certain body types, for example, like there are certain skin, like certain types of skin just like produce more or less moisture, and therefore like, you know, there is a baseline of certain needs that definitely different people have. And I would like to think that I am sort of falling into that exceptional category for certain types of products. I'm just aware of the fact that may not be true for everybody. Like maybe I am a person who needs chapstick and deodorant, but there may be people out there who are using them but think they must. Yeah. Right?
Totally. Yeah. I am a non-deodorant or chapstick person.
That's insane. Like, there have to be people, but that's crazy.
Yeah. But I don't believe you. But I think it is right. Like there are other things that I need that I'm sure other people don't. But I think some of these, right, where it's like, you know, before this segment started, you ran away to get chapstick to apply, and you were not like in a dire situation where you were your lip was about to split. Wasn't having
a bleeding issue, right? It was just.
But it is, yeah. It's like the creation of habit or sensation that then becomes like required.
Exactly. It's sort of the new baseline, and it also makes me think of the other things that you just, maybe it's not even so much a need, but you come to like the way it feels to have chapstick on your mouth, or you like the way, you know, a cup of hot tea tastes in the morning, and then all of a sudden that's like more than habit. It's just like a requirement. It's like part of the way you live.
Yeah, there's a part of this that is like some of these things are actually have positive outcomes. And so like the question between what is required and what is helpful, like when you are 60, your lips may look better because you cared for them better, but is not like a requirement. And if your lips looked worse, whatever. And so, you know, some of these other things are similar, right? Like the fact that I started putting a little bit of lotion on my face after I got out of the shower probably has prevented a handful of wrinkles in the process. Not the reason I did it. It was more about just like, ow, my face hurts, it's dry. But like is a positive outcome similar to, you know, some of the other products, right? Like there is like a net benefit, but like the difference between, do I need those things? Would I survive without those things? Yes. But can they have long-term positive impact? Probably also yes.
Yeah. And yet I think the reason that this is interesting to me, this whole idea of like, you know, are there people out there who are like falling into cycles of using things that they don't need, is also only that big a deal when there are other things that would make way better sense to be habitual, cyclical things that would improve, not just people, it would improve people's lives, like floss and sunscreen, for example, which I would say probably are far less prevalent. But if you talk to anybody, they're like, if nothing else, so many of the ladies will always tell you, the older ladies will be like, sunscreen is the way, or beauty experts, they'll tell you this. And all of the dental experts will tell you floss. You don't even sooner than brushing, flossing, you should be doing. And people are like, nah, I'm going to prioritize these. Like, how did we come into this place where chapstick and deodorant are more important than sunscreen and floss? Like, I personally, I fall into this trap. I am like in this same boat, and I don't understand how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, one, great time for the Baz Luhrmann sunscreen song plug that we have to get in annually. If Aaron was here, obviously he would know, but apparently the number of times we've referenced it to you has never sunk in.
Not sunk in.
You've never listened to it. I understand we're not friends. Great. We've
got it. Cool.
We're at yes. But I mean, yeah, those are like great examples of like the habits we need we're not creating, but the habits we don't, we are.
But the habits we don't, we have, and we like them. And I would not want to give those up, but also like there are other things that would make far more sense. But now we've created these.
Yeah. As like a hyper pale person, I'm conscious of sunscreen for sure, because again, apparently like with anything of these things, like, does it hurt? I'll do something. Like if there's pain involved, like a sunburn, cracked lips, like crunched up face, getting out of the shower.
It will take that much to get you.
It will take literal pain to get me to create a habit, apparently. But you're totally right. You know, like it's, if you approached, I don't know, any 100 women on the street, like how many of them would have a chapstick in their bag versus like sunscreen in their bag is
right.
You know,
and you should theoretically be reapplying sunscreen every hour on the hour, basically.
Yeah, I also like super gendered that idea, but men like traditionally certainly like are not taking these steps for caring for themselves.
Or at the very least, just like if we're following anyone who carries a purse or bag with them, and that actually probably covers a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, so what was coming into this conversation where I was like, yeah, chapstick's crazy, we don't need it. I'm actually realizing like, like there's a bunch of these things that I probably do need that I wouldn't like think about as like in immediate terms. And then maybe that's sort of the issue in a lot of these cases, right? Like, you know, the old joke of like how, like, I've heard a lot of women say like, how do you know how old someone is? Like, look at their elbows and their hands. And like, and be like, oh, that person must take care of themselves because their elbows and their hands are like looking supple. Good in their
That's like, what we aim for.
We all just need to be taking better care of our elbows and our hands. That's the moral of the story.
Yes. And also that not every one of these things is looking out for you. I think that's sort of where this came from, right? It's like not all lip balms are looking out for your best interests, even though the baseline need for a chapstick or equivalent product could be useful. You know, I mean, I think about blindly trust.
I think about like, you know, our plastic dependence, and like, you know, there was a week or two ago, someone put out a study, and I believe like there was inaccuracy in some of the metrics or something, but like the general intent is right, that like they were saying we consume a credit card worth of plastic every week. And I think the time scale was off in reality, but it's still basically we're consuming a ton of microplastics. And I think about
like in your mouth,
like going into like your body,
using it. Yeah. You're like eating it. Okay,
you're eating microplastics.
Nice, great, good to
know. But that idea, right? And ultimately, like we have a huge dependence on plastics. They're like carbon-based products. They're oil-based products, and a lot of these things where we're talking about like, do we actually need them, are coming in plastic delivered containers, right? Like every chapstick is in a plastic container, but also like things like, right, where you're bringing up like, where do you go too far? And I think about like the 10 step nighttime like beauty routine?
Well, Joey. Before you say anything about an 8 to 10 step skincare routine, let's just remind ourselves, okay, that some things are just awesome. And I am not saying I am one of those people, but I understand like the people who have their skincare products in a mini fridge so that they're cold when they apply them to their face. And it's just a chilled lotion. Like that is a sensory experience that certainly is not necessary, but I will say I respect. Let's just put it out there that that's that's worth respect.
I think I hate that person. like to have like an additional like mini fridge consuming extra energy for your 10 steps of skincare routine that you like 10 full steps. Like tell me the like value add in percentages
meditation,
of each individual step.
The sensory experience, mindfulness. Come on,
like
you
3 steps is getting you to 95%. Like
it's like investing. Depends on how you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? It depends. Like, do you have a diversified skincare portfolio or not?
Those extra 7 steps. Those extra 7 steps are not like it's diminishing
2 different
returns.
Serums, one for your eyes and one for your face. Joey, have you ever tried a serum for your eyes? It's a lot.
Serums, oils, creams,
toners, moisture. How many steps? Joey, wait, can we just pause?
What was wrong with Clinique's 3 steps?
How many steps of a skincare routine can you name? And can you do it in order?
I can't do the 10. I know. Okay, I know what 6? Like the 3 are. I could maybe do 6 based on. I think my wife's is in the 6 range. So, Clinique's original ones were like cleanse, exfoliate, moisturize. Right? Is that right?
Sure.
Are you like not giving me the answers while I'm taking the test?
Okay, name it. But like there are 2 more, and we've already talked about like one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know cleanse.
Got it.
Then you need
exfoliate.
You need the oil drops mixed with a cream for your eyes. I don't know what the oil drops are called. A tincture, a tonic. You need your eye tinctures. You need a different morning eye cream and tincture.
Oh, morning and night is a whole. We're talking evening
eye cream and tincture.
Talking evening. Your evening tincture. I'm going to put you out of your misery. The 2 other like top ones would be toning, and then I think like serums is like its own category. But toning is the oft missed step that some people swear by.
Need a little witch hazel, a little astringent.
Exactly.
Get some witch hazel in your life.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, sorry.
You know how many steps?
Digress.
You know how many steps my skincare routine is? 1.
And it's water?
Maybe twice a week, 2.
That's so.
Or not twice a week, like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'll like use the exfoliator on my face. Otherwise, I just get in the shower and like rub water on my face and rub it with my hands and then get out and put lotion on it.
That's so wrong.
So 2 steps. I cleansed it with no products. I'm just a naturopath. I'm just like leaning into my natural body oils. Like, you know, I'm like an influencer for skincare.
Whoa.
The natural way. Anyways, Jess, can you bring us to your 10-step corner?
Okay. Step 1. Figure out what you really need. Step 2. Figure out what you really want. Step 3. Figure out what is not getting you there. And that may include, but is not limited to, terrible lip chapstick stuff that is just making everything worse, and get it out of your life. Instead, step 4, welcome in the blessing of all these things that are looking out for you and whatever specific unique needs that your body has. And perhaps, as Joey would put it, maybe consider how important a mini fridge with cold skincare products are as part of that list of things that serve you. But hey, who am I to tell you what to prioritize in your life, even if it's using up a lot of energy and plastics, according to Joey. But look, we all understand. We're all just trying to make it work. We're all just trying to figure out how to get through. And, you know, if that's supporting you, we support you.
If that person is one of our literally hundreds of listeners every week, then please
Joey's
stop.
Please stop listening. We don't want to alienate.
Don't stop listening. Stop with your fridge.
Stop. Get out. You are the
This is a good time. This is a good time to plug the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle.
Oh,
and so just recycle old chapsticks is, I think, what the moral of the story is.
What is the chapstick circular economy?
Yeah.
Oh,
upcycle your chapstick.
We're really sorry if we offended anyone with more in-depth skincare routines. And by we, I mean at least and I hope I can speak on behalf of dear Joey.
I am sorry if I offended anyone except for the mini fridge person. The mini fridge person, that was intentional. You know who you are, and I hope you're offended. Anyone else who has reasons why they need to go through all 10 steps, if you do, great, you do you. But the mini fridge person, we're not friends.
You know what it should be? It should be that mini fridge that was a prize you could win. What? This is important.
I was just going to say, if you put it in your regular fridge, I'm okay with it. But if you have an additional fridge just for your skincare.
Just for your skincare. Okay.
Regular fridge, great. Do you?
All right. Well, there's some inconsistency in your comfort in this space. But I was going to tell you about the mini fridge that you could win for those magazine subscriptions. If you could get enough people to subscribe, then you win prizes. And one of the prizes was a mini soda fridge that could hold 2 aluminum cans of soda. And I was like, that would be such a perfect little skincare fridge. All right. Well, that's the end of this conversation.
This is it's like a Calico Critters mini fridge.
You never seen this? These tiny little fridges for a single can of soda.
I hate it. Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by Mini Fridges. Sponsored by Joey K. Meyer and Co.
We've sold our soul. As always, we'd like to thank executive producer and skincare consultant, Jess Vander.
Thanks. And we also must thank King of Snark and Sass and sound engineer, Alex Contel.
This is the least thing from the truth.
It really is. Not at all.
We would like to thank our programming coordinator and Neti-Pot aficionado, Les Jacobs.
And also the ultimately necessary production crew, Sarah Gilbert and Norma Estrich. Look, I'm reaching here.
You're necessary.
You're worthwhile.
As always. Thank you, sorry, Ellen.
Sorry.
Special thanks.
Special thanks to Chapstick. I have to say, name brand works for me. I obviously maybe have dropped the name enough that you can tell that I am sort of an adherent to the, I would say the moisturizing or analgesic formats really work great.
I think in this case, no one had any idea that you were talking about Chapstick brand
actual
chapstick.
I know.
It's the Kleenex problem.
It is. And or the Band-Aid problem.
A blessing and a curse. Really is what we're learning.
The name and yet no name.
I actually had to get some chapstick while I was in Denver airport for work because I was at altitude, traveling in airplanes, exercising. My lips were splitting.
Screaming.
And thank you to Carmex. I was like, I don't want to buy this. I remember like smells of old people from when I was young, and that stuff really works.
It really works. I would put Carmex up there. We believe.
It was like tingly, but I only had to put it on once, and it was like healed. Great. Now I have a chapstick in my backpack for one-time use.
I don't need to say it on the show, but if anyone's interested in my naughty list of no chapsticks, I'm happy to share it with you. If you send a note, we don't need
Jess's naughty list of no chapsticks is like your new like email newsletter.
Yeah, exactly. Featuring one definite no every week.
Yeah,
don't
Jess's naughty list is you now actually have to make this. I'd like to thank Jess's naughty list for its continued advice in my consumer goods experience.
Great. Where I can constantly just trash the things that have failed me in the past.
Yeah. We're manifesting this into reality. Like,
cool. Great.
We will plug it in progress report, Jess's naughty list, and every week, new things that Jess has taken umbrage with.
But it needs to be secretive in some way. Otherwise, it doesn't feel insider.
Just put like lady in front of it, or like madam. Like
what?
Then it's like then someone thinks it's a nom de plume, so it's like Lady Jess's naughty list, or like Madam Jess's.
This is not working.
Madam doesn't work because then it sounds like an entire Madam Jess's naughty list is like a very different newsletter. All right, we got to workshop it, but you do need to have a newsletter.
We'll keep thinking about the name.
Jess's gripes.
Grapes.
All right. Well, we did it.
Well, okay.
We did a thing.
Like, what am I supposed to do with this? We went off the rails. It's all right. Happy Friday. See you, everybody.
Happy Friday. Or
whenever
Tuesday
you're listening
listening
Monday,
to this.
Honestly, it's the start of your week. Well, okay.
We'll just go through Happy Monday, Happy Tuesday,
Happy
Wednesday,
Happy Friday, Thursday, Sunday, or whenever.
Well, we went way longer than Jess's 10-step corner.
I really hope Alex cut this.
I think this was the best part. I think we
definitely should have cut it by this point. Okay.
Wait, no, it's staying in.
The music's going to roll in real slow. And we'll still be talking about the fridge. Okay. Creds real fast.